So I would say that the main thing to keep in mind, and I think the thing from which everything else flows, all the implications come, is this notion that our existence precedes our essence, which is to say, we just are. Uh, and there's no God, okay? For Sartre, the whole thing rests on his atheism. If there were a God, then there'd be an authority that could have the status to actually tell us how to live, and could be a guide and a resource for how to live. It's something that we would want, I think, most of us. I mean, the truth is, we're just here, and we're just sort of floundering around. We really have no idea, according to Sartre, what we have no basis for saying how we should live or not. Yet we have to decide, right? We have to make a decision. We have no choice but to make the decision. Rather dramatic idea, and this leads to certain language that Sartre uses. For instance, let's see, this is page 6. The notion of abandonment. Abandonment. That we, it doesn't come out and say it, but the notion is that we have been abandoned by God. We're just left alone here, forlorn. That we have no support in making these decisions, but the upshot of that is that we have total responsibility for ourselves. Right? And as he said, the existentialist, on the contrary, finds it extremely embarrassing that God does not exist. Right? Extremely embarrassing, because it's like, well, what are we supposed to do, and how are we supposed to live, and really, who are we supposed to blame when we go make bad decisions? Well, there's no one to blame. There's no one to blame but ourselves, because the idea is that without any higher authority in the universe, we are absolutely free as human beings. I mean, free in a very radical sense. In the sense that not only is there no God, there are no established values of right and wrong, just and unjust, supposedly. That would inform how we're supposed to live our lives. So we are absolutely free. It is totally our decision. He quotes Dostoevsky, kind of misquotes Dostoevsky, but it doesn't matter. At the bottom of that page, he says, Dostoevsky once wrote, "If God did not exist, everything would be permitted. And that, for existentialism, is the starting point. Everything is indeed permitted if God does not exist, and man is in consequence forlorn, for he cannot find anything to depend on, either within or outside himself. He discovers forthwith that he is without excuse. For if indeed existence precedes essence, one will never be able to explain one's action by reference to a given and specific human nature." In other words, there is no determinism. Man is free. Man is freedom. You can see how that's much more radical, much more basic and absolute a claim about human freedom and oh hey, whatever may. Right? Man is free. Man is freedom. That is, our human existence is constituted by the fact that we're utterly and completely free. So this very simple thesis that existence precedes essence in the case of human beings leads to not a theory of human nature, but what has been called a theory of the human condition. And that condition is that we are absolutely free, and we are absolutely self-determining, and so we are absolutely responsible for ourselves. That in a world without God and without any kind of authoritative values that we could consult to find out how to live, we have to make all those decisions, not only ourselves, but without any guidance. And yet we have to make that decision, which is why he uses the language of anguish and despair and being abandoned and forlorn. That, for Sartre, at least when he wrote this essay, was what the human condition was like. Being absolutely free and being absolutely responsible for oneself and having no pre-established guide for how to make or on what basis to make those decisions which nevertheless we are forced to make.